The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday, episode 106, April 23rd, 2024. Here on the NOK Network, the video news podcast focused on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. Shout out to the guys at Dead Ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario, for the awesome intro. Originally recorded by the Moody Blues with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by my amazing joint host, Tarra Simpson, along with the one and only Buffalo Various, who has chosen for all of our stories for us. Hello, Tara. You know, I should have said glorious to you instead of like making him the star. I mean, what the hell? Anyways, my bad.
Hi, Hobbies. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's had another fantastic week and weekend, and especially this past weekend was 420 for everyone. So hopefully everyone celebrated on Saturday and had a great, safe 420. I'd like to take a minute to introduce Bufo. He's our Sonoran desert toad, or Colorado mud toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while that sounds fun, park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick that toad.
I got an idea. It involves licking a toad, yeah.
Well, I know someone who didn't necessarily lick the toad, but definitely partook in some DMT while she was visiting me recently. Our wonderful NOK owner, Kim, did some DMT. And I'm sure she'll be sharing that on a future episode of Open Your Eye very soon when we're back in May. So
that must have been great.
She did know?
Right. No, that must have been great time. And did you do some of the recordings of it? Like, so
I did
you kind of show like effects or.
Yeah, so we did some photos and a little bit of video. I mean, it wasn't nearly as theatric as when I first trip sat her in Toronto a couple years ago. As far as like she was much more calm and at peace, and there wasn't as much talking and movement and stuff, but she definitely had quite the ceremony and trip. And the facilitator was absolutely fantastic, very knowledgeable. I would recommend him to anyone. Super amazing experience to just be a part of as a witness and not responsible for any of it. It was great.
That must have been awesome, man. No, holy shit, dude. What a great time. What a great time.
Yeah, definitely.
And that brings us to our first story, man. Because you said the guy, so you book a thing. So this article is almost like on the same thing, where it's from Globe Echo, and it's bookings for psychedelic drug retreats soared by 183%, despite health experts warning of risks. And this is written by Henry Pearson. So was it exotic as this? Did you have a big old pool to jump into?
No, it actually took place in this background you see behind me, which is my bedroom slash studio. It's a really creepy psychedelic space. I mean, I have cool lights that run around the ceiling, and I have, just, very neat stoner stuff everywhere. And it's just very a chill space. I love this space. So it worked great. We were able to dim the lights and keep things really calm and keep the dog out and, have some privacy, but yet be comfortable. Because, I mean, when you go out on DMT, you literally just fall backwards. And so being on a nice, soft, cushy bed was a good environment for that.
Right.
Yeah. So this article is really cool because this is happening, as we know, like everywhere in the world right now. There's these psychedelic retreats and stuff that you can go to if you know where to look for them. So this article, in interest of psychedelic retreats, particularly those offering substances like psilocybin, MDMA, and ketamine, are on the rise. The Journeyman Collective in Vancouver, Canada, has seen a significant increase in bookings with 183% spike year over year. Founder Gary Logan and Robert Grover emphasized the benefits of psilocybin for overall wellness, noting that perceptions about these substances are changing, with more people recognizing their therapeutic potential and dispelling myths surrounding their use. Legal restrictions and medical precautions must be considered when it comes to psychedelic therapies. Psychedelics are classified a Schedule I drug in the US and are illegal in Canada, which can make individuals hesitant to participate in retreats. The Journeyman Collective focuses on preparing participants for therapy and ensuring that they are able to integrate the experience effectively. The founders stress that the importance of education and proper guidance in navigating the use of psilocybin for therapeutic purposes. High-profile individuals, including business people, are increasingly seeking psychedelic retreats to improve their efficiency, optimize their work and personal lives, and address issues such as burnout and lack of clarity. Derek DeLoss, a Vancouver-based CEO, found the retreat helped him find a clear vision for his future and made him feel happier and fulfilled. He credits the psilocybin experience with helping him confront his fears and let go of control, leading to positive changes in his life. Wow, that gave me goosebumps.
Dude, I know. I was just sitting there listening for a while. I'm like, oh shit, she's gonna make me read. This is cool listening to it. The emergence of psychedelics retreats is making these treatments more mainstream, with some destinations incorporating psilocybin experiences into their wellness offerings. Jamaica Rock House Hotel offers a psilocybin sound bath experience in partnership with Patu, a psilocybin treats company. The offering includes a wellness journey that incorporates plant medicine, breathwork, and sound therapy, and has seen a surge in popularity as travelers seek experiences that enhance wellness and mind-body connection. Experts emphasize the need for administration of psychedelics, particularly when treating mental health conditions. Psychedelic experiences can lead to anxiety, hallucinations, paranoia, and there have been reports of adverse events during clinical trials. Well, there may be therapeutic potential in carefully managed psychedelic use. Unregulated recreational use possesses significant risks. It is important to fully vet facilitators and ensure safety when exploring psychedelic therapies. Wow.
That's cool. Very cool. Various studies have shown potential benefits of psilocybin in treating conditions like suicidality, anxiety disorders, and OCD, as well as substance use disorders. However, the substance can induce hallucinations that lead to panic reactions and psychotic episodes, especially in individuals with certain health conditions or taking specific medications. While some states have legalized or decriminalized psilocybin, it still is illegal in many areas, emphasizing the importance of caution and responsible use under the guidance of expert clinicians.
Wow, that was a real good article.
That was very cool because it actually is part of a Vancouver-based collective, which is pretty cool because Kim was just in Vancouver over the last 5 days. So that's here in Canada. That's right in our neck of the woods. Well, other end of the woods, but close enough. Canada.
Well, and man, it's interesting you say that because this next article comes out of the UK. However, it is with the guy that we both have sat down with.
Absolutely. So when I saw Bufo chose this article, I was thrilled because I mean we've interviewed this man and we've heard the story and we know what he's doing, and then I kind of saw the picture and what they're trying to portray in the title. So I was a little torn about this article, but I will say that he is doing good work, and as far as I'm concerned, sometimes the news likes to try and bend and twist things to make it seem a little more sketchy, I guess. Was my take on this article. So we'll read the article.
It's yes, and the proofread on the article, the more it was read, the more it talked about what he's doing. But it also gave an interpretation of the UK's, a place where it's not legal anywhere right now.
Yeah. So the headline, it's from the Daily Mail. Pastor behind Psychedelic San Francisco church raking in $5 million a year supplying mushrooms and weed to members claim drug-fueled worship can save people from fentanyl. Now, I don't like the wording of drug-fueled worship. I mean, they're making it seem like he's some satanic cult type.
Banking off of other people's addictions, dude.
Right. Like, it really bothered me because I know what he's doing is saving people.
He's doing a lot of great. He's doing a lot of great. And if you keep an open mind during this article, well, this article is read. Keep an open mind that this is actually a guy helping people get proper learning on how to properly take medications in the spiritual sense and how to safely get them.
Absolutely. And he's saving lives. So nestled in the heart of America's opioid crisis lies America's biggest psychedelic church, raking in $5 million a year, supplying illegal drugs to members. But its pastor, Dave Hodges, sees no issue in setting up shop just a few blocks south of San Francisco's Tenderloin district, home to the country's most notorious open-air drug market. In fact, the computer geek turned psychedelic preacher believes that if there were more churches like his where congregates get high on shrooms and cannabis, there would be fewer opioid addicts overdosing on his doorstep. The sacrament we use help people get off drugs, he claims. Hodges, 42, has built an extraordinary empire of shrooms. Technically, he runs the largest mega church in the U.S. And it kind of ends there as far as what they're talking about in this article. There's many other articles on him in the links below. And again, they make it seem like he's like some drug fueled.
Oh, no, it continues right here, though.
Oh.
No,
Okay.
It continues the whole article, and it actually goes in depth where they actually got a hold of him and actually like.
Oh, you're right.
Got his information to the UK.
Okay, yeah, way down. Okay, I see. Yeah.
So it says in 5 years, his Church of Ambrosia has amassed 106,000 members across its two locations in Oakland and San Francisco. That is more than Oklahoma's Life Church, which has 85,000 members, and more than double Texas Lakewood Church, led by the evangelist Joe Osteen. Ambrosia members pay $10 to join and $5 to enter the church they're on, granting them access to church sacraments, cannabis, magic mushrooms, and DMT. The active ingredients is in ayahuasca. While weed is legal in California, psychedelics, including shrooms and DMT, are not. San Francisco passed an ordinance in 2022 making the adult use of psilocybin, active ingredient in magic mushrooms, a low priority of law enforcement, although it is still legal in California. But Hodges believes that these substances are deeply spiritual, even religious experience that is therefore protected in law. It is all part of a global movement, people turning to hallucinogenic drugs in search of spiritual enlightenment, including NFL star Aaron Rodgers, actor Will Smith, Prince Harry. It is now anywhere between 200 and 2,000 psychedelic churches in the U.S. from states and liberal drug laws such as California and Oregon to resolutionally conservative ones, including Utah and Alabama. Wow.
Hodges believes the ever-growing number, particularly in areas flooded with fentanyl, can help alleviate America's crippling opioid crisis. There are 806 overdose deaths in San Francisco in 2023, mostly due to fentanyl, breaking the previous record of 726 in 2020. That's a pretty big increase. There's a lot of reasons why people get addicted to drugs, but some of the major factors are not understanding why they're here, what they're supposed to do with their lives, Hodges tells dailymail.com. When you take our sacraments, you do deep work and you get in touch with your soul, and it can help you to understand those things. Your soul did not come here to be addicted to fentanyl. Psychedelics, including psilocybin, have been linked to the alleviation of opioid addiction. Research in its early stages, however, with a clinical trial underway at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. But Hodges claims he has already seen anecdotal evidence of its effects. He says one of his members used psychedelics first to wean himself off fentanyl before helping family members do the same. The pastor stresses that the Church of Ambrosia is not run as a rehab center and that those struggling with addiction should seek professional help. But he has grand designs on adding this to his pastoral functions in the future. It is one of several big ideas he has in store following an explosive growth that took everyone by surprise, including Hodges himself. The church first opened its first location in Oakland 5 years ago, but membership received a shot in the arm following a raid in August of 2020, in which police seized $200,000 worth of cannabis and mushrooms from the premises. It has gained 70,000 new members since the bust, prompting the opening of its second location in Soma neighborhood of San Francisco on April 15th last year. With it now celebrating its 1-year anniversary, Hodges has his eyes set on opening a third, a mega church capable of accommodating its ever-growing congregation. Ambrosia's 2 current locations have the capacity of little over 100. The pastor, who has a 2-year-old son, also wants to establish his own independent K-12 education system that emphasizes mental health and drug education. In our current system, we had weekly mental health classes through every age level. We probably wouldn't have mass shootings in the U.S., he says. Bold ambitions these may be, but the church, making around $5 million from its members' contributions, they may not be delusional. Hodges says that currently around 3 million of his revenue is swallowed up by legal fees at around 600 million a year. 24-hour security at both locations, 1.5 million, and rent around 1 million. The rest largely goes to fixed running costs, which include the production of the church's sacraments by some of its members. Oh, that's cool. That's a blue tea. That's really cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, it says a brewed mushroom tea comes out naturally blue. The Church of Ambrosia packs its homogenized mushroom powder into a tea bag before leaving it to soak in boiling water. I enjoy taking it as a tea.
Me too. That was one of my first adult trips ever. Was started with the tea at the campfire that night.
Oh, nice. Ambrosia offers a variety of mushroom strains, including Loving Teacher, Sun Temple, Baby Blues, and Ghost Penis Envy, which can be bought with monetary contributions, and oats can cost up to $2.60 or volunteer work. I wonder if a puppet could make a video. No, just kidding. Well, it's possible this could be viewed as illegal drug dealing. Hodges argues these transactions do not count as sales because these members sign an agreement, which means they own everything within the church, including the sacrament. Therefore, the pastor says there is no transfer of ownership. Hodges was not charged after the police raid in 2020 and has maintained that the church was not breaking the law. As for those who may argue that this church is not truly religious, the newly anointed prophet of Shroom has some words of advice. There are a lot of people out there who don't believe that our faith is real, he says. That's really more of a reflection on them. For me, the faith really comes from the experience that I had on these breakthrough doses of mushrooms. So where do we have people that don't believe that we're doing this for the right reason? My response is always that they need to do more mushrooms.
I love it. He's such a great guy to interview, and his vision is so grand, and I love what he's doing there. And obviously other people do too, or he wouldn't have that many members. These are not people who are, running around high on mushrooms out of their minds, worshiping some false god. They're actually taking mushrooms to improve their mind, body, and soul, and cure their issues. And it's working for them because some of them are very productive members of society, right? As we've seen in many articles before.
Well, and that's just it, man. It's just not like how it used to be portrayed. It's not just like the Dumb and Dumber, you grabbing the psychedelics and out having fun. Like people are now like microdosing. They're looking at therapies. They're looking at that using it in their routine for their the illnesses and mental disorders. I mean, in fact, this next article comes out of KQED and this.org, and it says, as California seeks to legalize psychedelics for therapy, Oregon provides key lessons by Sydney Johnson.
Wow. California has an opportunity to massively expand places where people can use psychedelic drugs under supervision, according to a new bill proposing to legalize substances in approved service centers, including psilocybin, MDMA, and mescaline for therapeutic use. It's a model similar to Oregon's Psilocybin Services Act, the first law in the United States to establish a regulatory framework for receiving psilocybin, or psychedelic mushrooms, which went into effect in 2023. Now, as California lawmakers look to legalize the therapeutic use of psychedelics, uneven outcomes of that legal experiment in Oregon are surfacing. It was billed by a lot of people as a solution to Oregon's mental health problems, as a new option for mental health treatment, said Mason Marks, a visiting professor of law at Harvard Law School, who served on the advisory board for Oregon's new psychedelics law. Now, some years later, you have evidence to suggest the system is largely serving a psychedelic tourism of people flying in from out of state and paying very high prices.
Oh, wow. If passed in California, SB 102 would create a professional licensing board to train facilitators, develop guidelines, and regulate the therapeutic use of psychedelics. People could use regulated psychedelic substances like magic mushrooms under supervision of a facilitator. The bill passed a critical and 10-state committee hearing Monday afternoon, but only after lawmakers had an amendment that facilitators must hold at least one medical license, such as psychedelic psychiatrists, therapists, social workers, and nurse practitioners. In California, the program would be overseen by a new department called the Division of Regulated Psychedelic Substance Control that would adopt rules over the coming years for the approved substances. We know psychedelic therapy saves lives and safe controlled access to these initiative treatments will be transformative for so many Californians seeking relief from mental health and addiction challenges. San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener said upon announcing the bill, when paired with the therapeutic support, psychedelics show amazing promise for treating conditions that resist other forms of treatment. Ooh.
Wow. Last year, Wiener pursued a different bill that would have broadly decriminalized personal use and possession of psychedelic substances. But Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed it and asked for a bill that focused on psychedelic therapy instead. Both peer-reviewed science and powerful personal anecdotes led me to support new opportunities to address mental health through psychedelic medicines like those addressed in this bill. Newsom said in his veto message last year, "I urge the legislature to send me legislation next year that includes therapeutic guidelines. Studies have shown that MDMA-assisted therapy can help mitigate symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. Other studies have also linked psilocybin as a tool for treating depression and LSD as an option for generalized anxiety disorder. However, a small portion of people have negative experiences using psychedelics, including anxiety, aggression, and suicidal thoughts, particularly with recreational use outside of a controlled studies where dosage is tightly controlled. The research literature points out the importance of a person's mindset heading into psychedelic experience, as well as their immediate environment to prevent these negative outcomes. What Timothy Leary and his colleagues in the 1960s coined the set and setting. We talk a lot about that. Today, clinical trials are underway at the Food and Drug Administration to approve several treatment courses with psychedelics and an MDMA treatment course that could be approved as early as August. Wow, that's cool.
That would be cool. But that means a trip to the mushroom doctor.
Yeah.
For ages, psychedelic substances have been used across cultures and societies for healings and medicinal purposes, as well as for recreational use. And unlike daily medications or weekly counseling, treatment with psychedelics usually take a day or two, typically followed by counseling, according to Jennifer Mitchell, the Chief of Staff for Research at the San Francisco Veterans Affairs and Professor of Psychiatry at UCSF. That different approach to treatment attracted Tobias Shia, a veteran who participated in one of the Oregon's programs in 2023, who was struggling with post-traumatic stress systems after 2 tours in Afghanistan. "I went through a big bout of depression in 2012 that I just couldn't navigate," he said. "I just suffered through it." But before he went Through with the therapy session in Oregon last fall, he had phone calls with a facilitator who asked him about his background and mental health to see if he could be a good candidate for the program. On the day of his appointment, he arrived at the service center, which he described as a relaxed environment, similar to a massage parlor or spa. In a similar enclosed room, someone has assigned to give him the appropriate dosage. A different facilitator then entered the room, and the two went over his intention for the session, which lasted 7 hours. For his first session, she said he sought to reflect on some of his experiences in the military and grief he had struggled with following his father's death. I don't want to sound cliche here when I say this, but it opened my mind again to the bigger picture of not just being a soldier anymore and not being involved with the military. He said it brought me back to what it means to be a human. Wow. That brings us to setbacks in Oregon teachings for California.
Shay's success story comes alongside mixed perceptions about issues with Oregon's program. It's still in its infancy, so advocates say there's still time for things to sort out. But already the state has had to bail out of the program using tax dollars because it hadn't made enough money from the service fees and revenues. Educating and training new facilitators who work directly with individuals with mental health challenges and who could need emergency help has also been a hurdle. Organizations like the Synthesis Institute, which train people to deliver psilocybin therapy, promise to revolutionize psychedelic-assisted therapy in Oregon. However, the school abruptly closed down in 2023 after going bankrupt. An issue there with Oregon that I think has come up is how well trained the guides are and what they are being used for, said Mitchell of UCSF. Marks, who served on the Oregon Psilocybin Advisory Board for a year, is also critical of how centers brand their services as therapy when, in fact, they're not yet FDA approved. Instead of psychedelic-assisted therapy, it's often branded. He said Oregon legalized supported adult use of psilocybin and points out that its providers can't diagnose medical conditions or make medical claims. It's also proven to be unaffordable for many people who can't pay out of pocket, reserving the new treatment approach for people who can pay for travel. Several service centers have reported the majority of their clients are visitors from out of state. Hang on, I smell something burning.
Okay. My estimation of the average cost of a psilocybin treatment course in Oregon is from about $1,500 to $3,500. And that's not for a single dose, Mark said. That obviously could get pretty expensive pretty quickly, and that is not affordable for a lot of people. Senator Wiener's bill incorporates some of the critiques from Oregon's model. It also creates a new public-private fund.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, I forgot where I was going. It creates guidelines crafting psychedelics. Oh yeah, that will promote education and safety around psychedelic substances, as well as guardrails against conflicts of interest among officials crafting psychedelic laws. According to the legislation, board members cannot have an immediate family with ownership or economic interest in institutional that's engaged in psychedelic-assisted therapy education. As states are allowed psilocybin decriminalization policies unevenly around the country, there's increasingly room for inequitable opportunities and treatment outcomes, as well as drug enforcement challenges. But believers say the inevitable kinks of the new policy will be worked out. Hindsight's 2020, so we can use Oregon as the beta tester and say, "Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that worked really well. I want to laud them for trying that first." Oh.
Wow. That was a great article.
That was a great article. As soon as I find my little medication, it's medication time.
Absolutely. It's time to pay some bills. So stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors, and then we'll return with more articles that Bufo has chosen, making mainstream media news.
Back in a few minutes. Stay tuned here on the NOK Network and the Psychedelic Reporters. I believe it's this one.
Psychedelic Tuesdays on NOK Network. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Psychedelic Reporters. Bufo Alvarius is scouring the newswires for stories being reported in the mainstream media on the psychedelic front and passing them on to Hobbies, Puppets, and Tarra Simpson so they can bring them to you, our listeners, in this 60-minute video news podcast.
Tuesday evening news.
Join us for Tuesday evening news each week at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for all your news and information from the world of psychedelic medicine. Follow and subscribe to NOK Network on our webpage, social media, and streaming sites, including YouTube and Rumble.
Peace, news, and views on NOK Network. Patients everywhere advocating cannabis evolution with Kim Cooper and Sir Steve Vogt. Joint hosts interview people in the grassroots and corporate cannabis space across North America and beyond. Sit down with patients, entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, and others share their journey with this medicinal plant. So join us for Peace, News, and Views. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where all consumption is medicinal consumption on NOKnetwork.com. Follow and subscribe to NOK Network on social media and streaming sites including Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble.
Put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh is a virtual gathering where consumers meet up for a toke and some laughs at 7 p.m. Eastern nightly. Originally aired on Info with Kim's social media page, the IWK 710 Daily Sesh is now also podcasted on NOK Network. Rotating joint hosts bring you a variety of content during this 30-minute virtual smoke sesh. Take a break from the stresses in life and put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. Podcasted nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NOK Network.
Hey, dudes and dudettes. Enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session live on Psychedelic Reporters here on NOK Network. I know my house is not burning down. Just thought I'd let you know.
That we have
Apparently, I live
another.
in a house full of stoners. My daughter and my boyfriend decided that they're getting their garden totes ready for garden season. So they were burning holes in the bottom of totes with a torch and a screwdriver. So that was the plastic I smelt melting. I thought maybe my wires were on fire, but no, we're good. Right? Who knew?
That's right. I was in line for the bathroom. All of us puppets. The mushroom, Mel the fungi. He was in there. Yeah. So then I figured, I'm like, dude, I'll take over. So this.
Nice.
Yeah. So this next article comes out of Psychedelic Assisted Therapy, and it's out of the Dales Report and Employee Benefits. Now, this is by Bill McNarland. This is a kick-ass article, actually.
I was really stoked when I kind of pre-screened the article. This is something that hopefully we'll start seeing a lot of in the future, right? I mean, we already have it for everything else under the sun, so why wouldn't we have an employee benefit? So the TDR, 3 takeaways for psychedelic assisted therapy. 1, psychedelic assisted therapy is becoming accepted in some companies' employee benefits, showing promise in treating complex mental health issues. 2, companies like Plexus Health Care are allowing the integration of psychedelic assisted therapy into their benefit plans, enhancing traditional mental health support. And 3, as more businesses adopt psychedelic assisted therapy, workplace mental health management is poised for significant transformation. The shift towards alternative health therapies is gaining momentum in the corporate sector, with an increasing number of companies integrating psychedelic assisted therapy into their employee benefit programs. The trend is partly driven by promising research on psychedelics such as MDMA, psilocybin, and ketamine, which have shown potential in treating mental health disorders, including depression, anxiety, PTSD, and substance use or abuse. One notable example is Plexus Healthcare Systems, which has partnered with Anthea, a benefit startup, to offer coverage for psychedelic assisted therapy. This move is reflective of a broader pattern where businesses are looking to provide more comprehensive mental health support beyond traditional pharmaceutical options. Currently, Anthena provides access to ketamine-assisted therapy with plans to expand into psilocybin and MDMA as regulations allow. Wow, that's cool.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm so excited of this, man. It's all about the benefits, too. A 2023 survey by NFP found that 17% of employers have invested in psychedelics assisted therapy solutions for mental health support, a notable increase from previous years. Companies like Lower Hudson Valley EAP, which collaborates with various unions, not unicorns, are exploring these benefits to address complex health challenges such as grief, trauma, and substance abuse. Despite the growing interest, there are significant challenges to the widespread of adoption of psychedelic therapy. These include the risks associated with non-clinical settings and high costs of treatments like Spravato, an FDA-approved ketamine-related nasal spray. However, economic pressures are pushing more insurance companies to cover off-label use of ketamine, including the study into mainstream health. The adoption of psychedelic therapies signifies a shift in both health policy and society's attributes towards mental health treatment. Companies are recognizing the importance of personalized and various health benefits, which may include sessions with financial advisors and life coaches to enhance overall well-being. This proactive approach in health management is aimed at prioritizing early intervention and comprehensive care. As research continues to support the efficacy of psychedelic treatments and regulatory frameworks evolve, it's likely that more companies will adopt those initiative therapies. This shift would significantly transform how mental health issues are managed in the workplace, offering hope for more effective and cost-efficient solutions. Want to keep up to date with this? All the TDR's research and news. Subscribe to the Daily Baked newsletter. Wow, dude!
Very
wow.
cool.
Man, go ahead.
It's definitely something that needs to come, right? I mean, people are wanting this, and we're getting results. So why keep paying for pharmaceuticals that aren't working if people want this and it actually helps them and they get better? I mean, it's a no-brainer to me.
You're telling me it's we got to take care of our employees if we're a big company and stuff like that. I mean, mental health, the way prices are, psychedelic therapy is something and insurance aren't covering. The fact that bosses, if they look into it through their work, to still cover it, I mean, it's cool. You couldn't even get away with that. Our next article, if you're a grower of mushrooms or if you're into looking at the mycology of mushrooms in the near future, this article is for you. And this comes out of greenstate.com. And this is Enigma mushroom and the eye-catching psilocybin mutation. And this is Psychedelics. And this is by April 3rd, or this is by Kara Weistock.
This is a really cool article because I happen to know a grower down in California, Chef Mike. He actually has flushes of Enigma mushrooms, and that's what they're using in some of their products down in California. So this actually really piqued my interest because I was like, what is it, right? The mushroom world is extraordinary. Fruiting bodies pop from logs looking like lion's mane, and yellow jelly protrudes from the ground. There are even lobster claw-looking mushrooms with names like stinkhorn and others that allegedly make people see God. When it comes to the latter, there's another whole sect of mysticism. At times, psychedelic fruiting bodies can mutate into cool shapes like the Enigma mushroom. Unlike golden teachers and B+, Enigma isn't a magic mushroom strain. It's a form and structure, aka the morphology. Enigma is a term that refers to how a mushroom grows. The blob mutation happens seemingly random in plots of psilocybin cubensis strains. Although it looks a little bit different in each presentation, you can't miss the Enigma mushroom. This magic mushroom mutation looks iconic, and that may be hyper-potent.
History of the Enigma mushroom. Enigma was the first isolated from a flush of tidal wave mushrooms. Doma Nunzio of Magic Myco bred the first tidal wave mushrooms with Venus Envy and B+ strains. Eventually, a batch presented with this specific morphology, and Dom named it TW2. Soon, the mushroom community began calling the mutation Enigma. Meanwhile, Biotechnology Lab Tritomics is sorting through various Enigma mushroom varieties that come into the lab, and it's only tidal wave mushrooms growing in blob morphologies. The original Enigma is believed to be a tidal wave mutated isolation, but we've also seen strains such as Blue Magnolia Rust, Taupe, Omni, and Apes. all produce non-traditional fruiting body morphologies that we've tested too. So it's something specific to tidal wave lineage as far as we can tell. Triptomic's co-founder Christopher Polly shared with Green State. Nutcracker mushrooms have also presented enigma mutation. TOEIC is an isolation of the tidal wave mushroom lineage. Meanwhile, one Reddit user shared blue magnolia rust with one flesh shows enigma morphology earlier this year. As for Omni, many online sources refer to its synonymous with enigma, but that's not the case based on triptomic testings. Wow.
Neat. Enigma has shown up in many Syllabaceae cubenus strains, and has yet to jump the genus, though it's not impossible to know if it will. We have yet to see a non-cubenus version of this morphology, but from talking with the team, we think it's likely possible in the whole Syllabaceae genus rather than just the Syllabacin cubenus species, based on its increased occurrence in the lineages of cubenus, Polly explained. It may also be tied to the idea of a microvirus or other viroids that are possible in mushrooms, but have yet to be studied in depth to prove their hypothesis one way or another. Though it remains unclear how the mushrooms proliferate, what people do know is that enigma mushrooms are wild to look at. Enigma mushroom morphology. The enigma mutation is expressed in various ways. Tidal wave has a wavy-edged cap reminiscent of some enigma mushrooms, but the mutation won't include caps at all. Instead, blob-like shapes emerge from the substrate in many forms. Some presentations look like coral or an ultra-wavy brain, and others look like scallops, fingers, blobs, or fins.
Wow, look at this picture of it too.
Yeah, you can see those ones kind of look like brains.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Many regards that you want to keep reading.
Yeah, sure. Many regard tidal wave as one of the most potent psychedelic fruiting bodies, but the same doesn't go for enigma mushrooms. Triptomics has tested around 10 samples of the enigma varieties and blob morphologies. Their work has shown that enigma isn't more potent than the average Syllabacin cubenus strain, about 7 milligrams per gram. We've seen it in ranges between 4 and 19 milligrams per gram of total activities. So it really depends on the isolation, cultivation technique, and morphology from what we've seen, said Polly. Overall, it's highly variable. It's highly variable that there's some are grouped in with the most potent mushrooms we've tested, and some are well below average potency of cubenus. Between the 10 strains of enigma morphology, Triptomics didn't note any potency differences from how many they present. It didn't matter if the mushrooms were a coral structure or fins, the potency wasn't relevant to the structure of the enigma mushroom. An enigma strain ranked in the top third of the 2021 psilocybin cup for total tryptamines, supporting the idea that potency depends more on the morphology with this one.
Breeding enigma mushrooms. This mutation isn't only interesting to look at, but its implications for how enigma mushrooms procreate. Without caps, there aren't any spores to spread new generations of enigmas. Many believe that this mushroom lineage can only grow through liquid culture. But Paul shared that mycologists are experimenting with other methods. The mushroom appears to sporeless because it lacks skills, which has traditionally meant that the culture be passed via spore print. This makes the process of growing Enigma more complex, since purchasing liquid cultures is considered illegal. But the illegality of where'd it go? The legality of selling a spore print is less concrete. Legalities aside, cultivators generally trade or gift Enigma via plate, slant, stasis tube, or liquid culture. Some mycologists are developing new kinds of Enigma. Enigma mushrooms are diocratic, made to spores. Some breed the lineage with another monocryptotic cubensis strain to spore-producing Enigma strain. Julian Matucci's work goes in the other direction, reverting the two-spore Enigma to a monokryotic culture. This culture has been then bred with another spore shroom to create a mushroom strain that holds this power to present Enigma mutation. Shared with Green State that Magic Michael is doing their work strengthening Enigma after years of weakening genetics. Our newest works, we have backcrossed them with the invigorated mushrooms again. However, bullet effects still present. The same mutations is made its way into our Trinity and other strains, since most of my strains are also made with tidal wave. Nuncio revealed. These methods have yet to be solidified. Liquid culture remains the best way to spawn an Enigma variety. Here's another fact.
Look at that.
Tell us about Enigma mushroom fact.
Enigma mushrooms are wild to look at and appear somewhat randomly in an otherwise non-mutated flesh. So people have some questions about them. Let's answer some frequently asked questions about Enigma morphology. Is an Enigma a mushroom strain? Enigma mushrooms aren't strains. It's a blob mutation that changes how a shroom appears or the morphology. There are a few ways Enigma presents, from scallops or fins, like coral, or more blobby. What do Enigma mushrooms look like? Enigma mushrooms have interesting morphology because they don't have caps. This shroom mutation looks like a brain, a piece of coral, blob, or even fins. Are all tidal wave magic mushrooms Enigma? Tale dictates that the first documented Enigma mutation was isolated in a flush of tidal wave mushrooms, but not all tidal waves are Enigmas. So that's interesting because tidal wave's a pretty popular strain.
Oh, it is. It is. I like tidal waves. Yeah. Enigma mushrooms are a feast for the eyes. Oh, wow. All the mushrooms are all inspiring. They pop from the ground as if they've been along, all mystical. And some of the mushroom morphology is the world is jaw-dropping. From that Enigma grows in the fall, studying the morphology category through the true history of Enigma aligns with its name. What do people know is that it's interesting to look at and sometimes pretty potent. Is that Enigma? No, it's pretty simply one of the most interesting to look at mushrooms out there. Huh. I've never seen one up close. I've seen pictures and whatnot, but I've never seen one like.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen one in person, just pictures of people's stuff online as well, right?
Yep. So our next article is another European article, and this is from ScienceBusiness.net, and the EU launches landmark £6.5 million study on the use of psychedelics to treat mental disorders. And the first EU-funded research project in the psychedelic steps takes a step to legitimize the field and should lead to more funding by Martin Greenacre.
This is a really cool article because we've actually talked about the EU before and how they can be very stringent on a lot of things, especially drugs in general. So increasing awareness of mental health issues has not yet translated into innovative treatments. Hang on a sec, my phone's going off.
Oh, okay. MEPs heard on Tuesday at the launch of PsyPal and the first EU-funded clinical research project in a psychedelic-assisted mental health treatments. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
As our understanding of psychedelics deepens, it becomes increasingly evident that they could revolutionize mental health care and also other diseases like neurological diseases. Green's MEP Tilly Metz said at the launch of the 6.5 million, I'm assuming that's pounds, Horizon European project. PsychPal will investigate the potential of psilocybin-assisted therapy to ease anxiety and depression in patients in palliative care. We'll focus on patients with chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, multiple sclerosis, amyotrophic atherosclerosis, and atypical Parkinson's disease. The project involves 19 organizations from 9 European countries with around 100 patients due to be recruited at 4 different clinical sites across Europe. Wow. Tuesday's event was hosted by MEPs Cyril Angerger and held under the auspices of the Brain Health and Neurological Conditions MEP Interest Group and the MEP Action Group with the medical use of psychedelics. MEP were eager to look ahead beyond the current study for their future role in shaping regulations. That's cool.
Wow. As we move forward, there will come a time when we tasked with designing a regulatory framework that strikes a balance between accessibility and safety, Matt said. Evidence-based studies like PsyPal will be crucial to the work of legislators. We need to establish a supportive regulatory environment, said the SED MEP Radka Maximova. This involves creating guidelines for the safe production, distribution, and administration of psilocybin and ensuring it is only used in a very clear and appropriate context. Regulations should also include standards for training the healthcare professionals who administer these therapies, she said. The EPs to Mislam Sokal, co-reporter for the European Health Delta Space, said MEPs need to push for more money for health into the next long-term EU budget, including for research. Fighting for the budget will be of extreme importance if we want to have a strong European health policy. And I think the brain disorders are one of the areas for which we probably do the most, he said. Sarah Sardis, MEP of the SED group, compared the lack of innovation in mental health treatments to the struggle to develop new antibiotics. And she was the rapporteur for the Parliament own initiative report last year, which called the Commission to create a commission on a mental health in Horizon Europe and Next Framework program. Oh, wow.
Wow. Europe lagging behind. Use of psychedelic drugs is for the most part illegal across Europe, and the United Nations classifies them as Schedule 1 drugs that have no accepted medical use. However, research suggests they have significant potential for managing mental health disorders such as post-traumatic stress disorder, anorexia, and depression. And last year's Last year, Australia became the first country to significantly regulate the use of psychedelics. MDMA-assisted therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder is also expected to be approved in the US this year. The European Medicines Agency, did not approve any new treatments for psychological conditions in 2022 or 2023. The PsychPal research team is aiming to start dosing patients in January of 2025, with the trial running for 2 years. If you look at psychopharmacology, it's been relatively quiet for a long time. And now there's an increase in studies and funding, which I think is hopeful. Principal investigator Robert Shovers told Science Business. The EMA is closely following developments and will hold a workshop in Amsterdam next week to discuss the future regulatory framework. One challenge for regulators is that psychedelic therapies present a break from existing treatments, which either involves pills patients taking at home or psychotherapy. This is a pill within the context of psychotherapy, Schroeder said. The fact psychedelic treatments are labor-intensive, requiring infrastructure and trained healthcare professionals to administer them, can also discourage industry from investing in their development. From a pharma perspective, if you produce a drug you can prescribe only once or twice, and the rest is non-pharma, there are unanswered questions about how you approach that, Shriver said. No big pharma company has been investing yet in psychedelic therapies. Towser Howrott, founder of the Psychedelic Access and Research European Alliance, told Science Business, "We are very interested and looking from a distance, but still wanting to see approvals and also a business model." Wow, that's crazy.
Wow, most of the clinical research is being done by small biotech firms that prefer to focus on the U.S. market, he said. Hoffrat says there is support from European commissions for researching the use of psychedelics to address unmet medical needs, potentially through a call as part of public-private partnership, the Initiative Health Initiative, but there hasn't been the appetite to engage in a collaborative project from Europe's large pharmaceutical associations. Members of the health and research community purpose ideas for all topics with the IHI, which has budgets of $2.4 billion via the IHI Ideas Incubator. The commission is due to the launch of new partnership of brain health next year. We see this as a big opportunity because it will be bringing in member states. Howard Pyra will be on the lookout for possibilities with the General Horizon Europe program. For example, on the Cluster One Health, for which called the topic is broadly defined. We will be creative, just like Psychedelic. This was not a call tailored to psychedelics, but calls are open and everyone can find their own angle, he said. Charlotte Merchandise, Executive Director of the European Public Health Association, EUFA, will also be keeping a close eye on the PsychPal results. Such projects are vital because research for mental health treatments is lacking and more evidence-based prescription is needed, she says. She gives the example of tricranial magnetic stimulation and non-invasive from the brain stimulation, which, like psilocybin, requires the presence of healthcare professionals. Because it's expensive, it's only when used. Other treatments, such as antidepressants, have failed, even though it has shown to fewer side effects, she said. That the research is too expensive to test, doesn't have the outcome for industry, are not developed. Merchandise tells Science Business EU backing is vital to ensure treatments such as are developed and then scaled up. As well, more funding. She wants to see the progress towards harmonized regulations and a standardized testing framework across the EU. Psilocybin, for example, can be tested in some European countries, but not others. Innovation requires more agility, and Europe can give us that. As many researchers in France can do the same test they do in Portugal, she said. Europe estimates that 3 or 4 people with major depression do not receive adequate treatments. Wow.
Wow.
And well, thank you for joining us here on the Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network, and for tuning in. Mainstream media coverage of psychedelic advancements. Where to go? Oh crap! Psychedelic for tuning in, video podcasts, NOK Networks, Rebel and YouTube pages, as well as other social media sites.
We hope you enjoyed our update on mainstream media coverage of psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsor and to many joint hosts, Tarra Simpson and to Buffalo Various, for choosing the stories, and to our listeners for joining each week on Psychedelic Tuesday. And for joining us, and let's hear from Dead Ringer again from Kirkland Lake on our way out.
Have another great week, everybody.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, your Wednesday, your Thursday, your Friday. See you next week!
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of